Welcome to Mishna study, Maasrot Maasrot, Perek Aleph, Mishna Bet. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss now the fruits that we mentioned in last Mishnah. Last Mishnah, we mentioned that there are fruits, when are they obligated in Maasrot? Well, only when they fully ripen, right? Or they ripen, they're edible at a certain ripened stage. And before that, unlike vegetables, they're not obligated in Maasrot. So at what point are these fruits obligated in Maasrot? So you walk out into the field and you see a strawberry, right? And it's green. Is that obligated in Maasrot? You pick it. Is that obligated in Maasrot? No, it's not, right? Only once it starts to, get a little bit of that red, tint to it, right? When it starts to redden, then it's going to be obligated in Maasrot. So that's one of the examples that Mishnah gives. Let's go through all of them. So when are fruits obligated in Maasrot? When it comes to figs, when they yabhilu, it means when they start to ripen. Now, how do you know when this is? The Yerushalmi says that when you pick a fig off the tree and you leave it for 24 hours, and at that point it's edible, it's ready to be eaten, that's considered enough of a ripening stage for figs to be obligated in Maasrot. Ve'anavim ve'ovshim, mishiav ishu. Anavim are grapes. Ovshim are the beushim, right? Beushim are more of the sour grapes. It's a lousy type of grape. This is actually, we know this from Yeshayahu. Remember Mashat HaKerem in Sefer Yeshayahu, the 5th Perek, very important Perek in Yeshayahu. V'kav la'asot anavim v'ya'as beushim. Right, HaKadosh Baruch Hu intended. He took care of us. He nurtured us, and he hoped that we would get that his vineyard, that Hashem's vineyard, would give forth grapes, and instead it gave forth these lousy, lousy grapes. Right, so that's the beushim. And this is how some of the greatest Talmudic scholars also explain this. Now, what does hiv ishu mean? So when are the grapes considered, ripened? The grapes or these lousy grapes, when is it considered ripened? Mishiav ishu, right? So the ovshim mishiav ishu. What's yav ishu? Yav ishu is when you're able to see the seed, right? That the grape seed from the outside, because of it became so, it became plump enough where you're able to see through the liquid, through the, really basically the flesh and the meat of the grape, right? We're able to see through the seed. It's enough, right? It's enough. It's moist enough, right? It grew enough where you're able to see through it, right? It's more transparent enough. Ha'og v'atutim, right? Og is Rambam says a sumak shami, right? So some type of Damascus sumac. Tutim, we know that's strawberries. Mishiadimu, right? When they become red. Right? Anything that's red, right? That it's natural state. It's red when it gets its redness, right? Raspberries, right? That's when it's going to be that's when it's going to be obligated in Maasrot. Harimonim, pomegranates, mishimasu. Mishimasu, it's when you're able to take the seed of the pomegranate in your fingers and you squeeze it and a little juice comes out, right? That's mishimasu. Hatimarim, if you have dates, mishiatilu seor, right? When it starts to, literally fatten. By the way, hemasu is from the language also we saw, ahaynu hemasu elevavenu, right? By the story of the Meraglim that we actually just read this past week, right? Ahaynu hemasu, our brothers caused our, hearts to melt, to be squeezed, right? That's the language of that pomegranate. Now the dates, mishiatilu seor, this is when they become soft enough and they actually start to blow up a little, like bread, like something bread that's rising, right? So it has a little bit of some fat to it. That's how you can tell that a date is ripening. Haparsekin, right? This is what we call in Hebrew, modern day Hebrew, afarsek. It's a peach. Mishiatilu gidin, right? So a lot of times, if you look at the peach, a lot of times you'll see like these little veins that start to spread out, like little reddish veins, right? That's when the peach is considered ripened, right? That's what the Yerushalmi says also, mishiatilu gidim adumim, and right, that's how it starts to get its color. Ha'egozim, right? Egozim are walnuts. Mishiasu megura. So a lot of times, like you see a walnut, a lot of times, when you shake it, it has a harder shell on the outside. When you're able to shake it, and it forms this like little storage, right? It's able to. So it's almost like a drawer inside, right? It's almost like a storage unit inside. That's at that point, it's considered a something that's obligated Maasrot. So the egozim we just mentioned, the walnuts, almonds also, right? Not when it's just forms this like hole where you're able to shake it and it's like in its own like little storage. That's not enough. It's even further than that when it starts to have the skin around it. It starts to develop that little shell, right? That little that little shell around the fruit itself, which is at a much later stage. Halacha though is not like Rabbi Yehuda.